Computer, I got a problem.
Is it the fact that you play games alone in a dark room every day?
No, it's the fact that I have a 1,000-word report due on a movie genre. The thing is, I don't know what genre to do. There's like a ton of them, like action and...
Maybe you should do something easy like comedy.
Or I can mix my love for gaming and tolerance for filmmaking by making a report on video game movies.
I don't think that's a genre.
Shut up. Traditional media likes to do this thing where they take another form of media and just ruin it up for the general crowd. Like, if a nerdy thing started as a movie, then yeah, the movies will be fine adaptations, and so will the games, seeing as the movies gave you a blueprint to work off of. However, in the world of video games to movies, there seems to be a loss in translation, seeing as most, if not every video game movie, is just so bad. It's clear the people who work on these movies don't look at the source material at all, so what you get are vaguely resembled characters that sorta match the games. This is the case with the Mario Brothers movie. Now, if you've seen this film, you already know just how off it is. It even tries to trick you into thinking that, yeah, this is Mario, by the opening playing the original World 1-1 theme, and then switching over to a lecture about dinosaurs. Yeah, I don't see it. Now, they had a good actor to play Mario. It's Bob Hoskins. He can pull off an Italian from Brooklyn and even looks a little bit like the plumber we all know and love. Luigi, on the other hand, is just this ratty teenager. This was made well into the Super Nintendo era, so just why did they cast a very young boy who does not have a mustache in the slightest? Also, to add insult to injury, the two aren't even brothers. Mario is apparently a father figure to Luigi. The plot isn't even the simple Mario saves Peach from Bowser. It's actually Mario and Luigi go to an alternate New York City to save Daisy and to stop the two New Yorks from merging, which is all planned out by Bowser. I mean Koopa, who is the descendant of a T-Rex, just like how the citizens of an alternate New York are descendants of different reptiles. Did they seriously not play any Mario game, like, ever? I guess the game has more to do with Mario Land than anything else, as Princess Daisy is here and does become the ruler of that alternate New York after Mario and John save the day. But it's such a stretch to even consider this being based off any Mario game. Bowser is human, for God's sake! What the fuck? Also, the Goombas are these tall, small-headed morons, and they're just really, they're fucking creepy. What happened to the chestnut design? You know, they weren't threatening at all, but here they lumber over Mario and Luigi. I think you get it. It's a bad representation of the Mario Brothers. In fact, it's one of the most notorious bad video game movies out there, probably because it was really early in its time for really fucking up the system. But there are way more to see, like a lot more movies that made me want to gouge my eyes out. The amount of shit I had to sit through, oh my god. Doom was a movie, apparently. In 2005, this thing dropped, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and you know what? I couldn't tell you what the hell this plot is. Now, I didn't play a lot of Doom, but I'm pretty sure this movie does not follow the game because none of the enemies that they fight are the ones from the games. I also can't tell if the movie is trying to be horror or not. The trailer gives off horror vibes, but the movie is just so campy with such bad effects. It really just does not give off that. Weirdly enough, The Rock gives a performance that's not too bad and honestly made sitting through some scenes enjoyable, but I really can't excuse what the hell I'm watching here. Instead of blasting hell demons, the movie instead goes for a mutation gone wrong scenario where they found a bunch of people in a research facility either dead or mutated. I'm pretty sure that's just 100% not what Doom is about. Like, at all. Why did they do that? Also, it's not just one guy who's doing all of this. It's a team of space marines, and all of the research happens to be on Mars. What? The mutants were able to get to Earth and start fucking shit up, so all the marines had to stop them. The unimportant one dies, while the two left were Dwayne and Carl, with the characters being named Sarge and Reaper. Who okayed those names? Sarge is evil and Reaper is good, but both have superhuman abilities as they both got mutated from other mutants. Sarge got the mutation that made you a psychopath, and Reaper got the mutation that let him keep his humanity, as if that was really ever explained well. So they both fight in this 8-minute long boring ass sequence where Reaper just looks around a whole bunch and Sage just decides to fight without a gun. And Reaper complies for some reason. I won't even try to understand that. There is poor CGI, terrible sound effects for the punches, and it's just so campy and dumb. But yeah, Reaper wins. Simple as that. You'd think they would actually, you know, use the source material to lay out some blueprints for how their movie was gonna go. I mean, was there even a movie that did that and, tried to be freaking good? Tomb Raider tried to stop a forest of all mediocre video game movies from happening, but I don't know if it truly succeeded. The first part of the movie, where Lara is being more of a teenage sassy bitch, doesn't really fit well, in my opinion, to a movie that's named Tomb Raider. I mean, I guess it's fine to build character. After all, this movie was based on the 2013 reboot and not the PS1 games. However, when Lara actually steps out of the city, the movie honestly feels like a Tomb Raider movie filled with adventures and, of course, tomb raiding. Who would have thought that that would be in such a movie called Tomb Raider? Like, seriously, I thought the whole movie was gonna be Laura and her friends going on some wacky hijinks. Like all the other fucking movies. This is a weird one, because it does take inspiration from the game, and it kind of messes with the plot a bit, as I don't entirely think that Laura's dad was a huge part of the game. In the movie, it's the driving force for Laura to go tomb raiding. However, the actual tomb raiding parts of the movie are pretty faithful to the game, so the source material is there. But the whole part about Laura being this moody teenage bitch doesn't really fit well for an adventure, in my opinion. They tried to clarify this by showing her getting her bag back from this child, and while I guess it does work, to me this scene shows that she is strong, while the other scenes show us that she's just a sassy person. Even on the adventure, she is kinda like this, but even with that, the movie is pretty faithful to the game. We did it! We found a faithful video game movie! Yeah! Oh fuck, I have to clean that up now.
But there are still more movies based on video games.
Yeah, but we found a good one. There's no reason to rinse and repeat and say the same stuff over and over again.
Okay, but what about the movies that don't directly come off a video game?
Ah, fuck you. You're just trying to make me do more research. And it's working. So, while video game movies are usually based off a single video game, there are some times where that's not really the case. There's not really any strict source material or just one video game to be used. These are the movies that use video games as a driving force but aren't really strictly limited to one video game. You could have many video games, many advertisements, or make the setting a part of a video game universe. The first movie, to my knowledge, to really do this was The Wizard, released in 1989, all the way back to when the NES was relevant. You hear that, buddy? You were once relevant enough to be in a big Hollywood movie that was really bad and hard to sit through. The Wizard is such a mess of a movie, mostly because I couldn't tell you what the fuck they were thinking when writing this. The movie follows this young boy named Jimmy and his brother Corey running away from home. They set out for Los Angeles, California, where it's there that they find that Jimmy is really good at video games. So Corey and a new friend Haley decide that it would be a good idea to enter Jimmy in Video Armageddon, where he can win up to $50,000. Also, Jimmy has PTSD after his twin sister drowned, and his stepfather wants to put him in a mental institute. Did it have to be that fucking dark? Jesus! I thought this was gonna be a fun adventure about playing games. What the fuck? Seriously, I don't know why they made the plot of this movie so dark. Plus, there's a whole scene where Haley gets rid of Putman, a guy who's trying to find Jimmy, by claiming that he's sexually harassing her.
He touched my breast!
How the fuck did they do shit like this when this entire movie is basically one big advertisement for Nintendo? I'm not even joking. There are a few scenes that blatantly point it out. For one, there's a scene that's just actually a commercial for the Power Glove just out of nowhere.
It's so bad.
Yeah, you said it, kid. Also, at the end of the competition, they play Mario Bros. 3, which was unreleased at the time in North America. And then finally, this movie came out a whole year before the Nintendo World Championship. And while I don't think the movie was a direct advertisement for it, I feel like people would have been so on board if this movie weren't a thing, showing how exciting a video game competition could be. But hey, I mean, it worked. People probably went to see the movie just for that Mario Bros. 3 ending alone. I mean, back then you didn't have Nintendo Directs, so seeing an unreleased Mario game out in the wild on the big screen even was pretty fucking cool.
Almost as cool as the video games coming to life.
You would think, but when you make Kevin James the president of that universe, you're forcing me to actively give up on modern cinema. Pixels was just a huge mistake. To be honest, it's not terrible, it's just bad. But in the way where you just wished it was just a tiny bit better. Just a little bit, Like, you didn't want it to be good, you just wanted it to be decent. It didn't even do that. A movie like this is honestly cool. I remember seeing the trailers for this movie and thinking about how interesting it really looked. But then again, I wasn't really old enough to realize that Adam Sandler movies were starting to become the same tongue-in-cheek each and every time. The movie starts off innocent enough, with young Adam and young Kevin going to an arcade to the awesome soundtrack of Surrender by Cheap Trick. They play some games and meet a weird kid, insert a terrible joke, and then enter Peter Dinklage. He beats young Adam at Donkey Kong, and then it's present day, aka 2015. Kevin James is president, and Adam Sandler is a tech repair guy. And then aliens. Ah yes, the perfect villain in a movie about classic video games. Aliens. I mean, it's honestly not as far-fetched as you think. You see, the top scores in each game were sent into space for some god-awful reason, and then aliens took it as a challenge where the humans must go up against the pixel recreations of video game enemies. I like the style that each pixel has. It's oddly faithful to each character, and looks pretty accurate, so yeah, good job, Pixels, you did one thing right. This movie is supposed to be a comedy, but it's also confusing at times with not only the jokes, but the plot as well. Instead of a creative outcome, Peter Dinklage's character cheats in a way that shouldn't be possible. Adam Sandler mentions something like a reset button in the final acts, but it doesn't even come into use. And then there's this military guy who, for a split second, is built up to be the bad guy, and that is just never fulfilled. It's just mentioned once and then never again. You see, kids, this is what happens when your movie goes through painstaking rewrite after rewrite, and so you're forced to technically take out lines from other versions of the script. AKA, this is just fucking horrible. The rules are also just so confusing. At one point, there's this character called Lady Lisa, and Josh Gad's character is just crazy in love with her. And then she becomes an alien, but she's not pixelated. And she falls in love with Josh Gad after he says some stupid shit, but oh no, she's gone. But wait, Hubert, who was a trophy from the alien race, decides to just change into her out of nowhere. It's out of nowhere.
Aw fuck, there goes another one.
Yeah, I knew the Tombot couldn't handle all these movies, but then again, I mean, neither could I. I think you see what I mean by confusing. When it comes to movies like these, it's hard to create a whole new story when there are just thousands of others you can take from. But when it's done right, these movies can be loved a lot, like Detective Pikachu. You see, this movie, you think for a second it's just a Nintendo thing, right? No, because it's a genuinely interesting movie that was able to capture the world of Pokemon in the correct way. All the designs are great, and they even got a very popular, funny celebrity to voice Pikachu. It's a movie that not even true Pokemon fans went to go see, and it's something that these kinds of movies can do. I don't think the Mario Brothers movie or a Doom movie could really do that same thing though, as, you know, they just try so hard to. These are established IPs, and unlike books, these IPs have forever been sold as interactive material, meaning that when you put them on a big screen, you lose something that makes these games and characters feel so great. That's why movies like Wreck-It Ralph and Detective Pikachu work. They can use IPs, but don't rely on them to put butts in seats. I think talking about the culture and the good that video games have actually done creates better stories than anything based on a normal video game. I mean, yeah, Pixels tried to do it and failed, but it's better that it failed so people know what not to do with it. I mean, I might be a film major and I might love video games, but even I know that it's almost impossible to capture the same thing that you get within a video game, unless that game has a story that has enough substance to carry out without you having to actually play it.
So, did your report go well?
I mean, yeah, kind of, but I mean, all these movies came out like a little bit ago. There's nothing really of a recent example. The report's due in 2 weeks. How am I gonna find a movie in 2020 that is based on a video game?
Are you fucking serious?
What, is there something that I'm missing?
Look at the game on your desk.
This? Sonic the Hedgehog? I don't know what you want me to do. It's not like he's having a movie coming out on Valentine's Day. Oh, wait!